Hi everybody, welcome back to this course on Internet Technologies. I'm Vardan, and in this video we'll be learning about HTTP response, HTTP proxy servers, and Uniform Resource Locator. When a web server replies to an HTTP request, it sends back a response made of three parts. First comes the status line, which tells us the HTTP version being used. Then a three-digit status code like 200 or 404, and a short message describing the code like OK or not found. Next are the response headers, which are key value pairs that carry useful information. Things like the current date, server type, content length, and what type of data is being returned, for instance, HTML, JSON, or an image. And headers like connection, keep alive or close, decide if the connection stays open after a response or it closes after a response. After the headers, there's a blank line and then comes the message body. This is the actual web page, image, or the data browser requested. Also, an important point here is that headers help manage sessions. The server can send a set cookie header and the client will store that cookie and send it back with every request using the cookie header. That's how things like logins or shopping carts keep working across pages. Now let's look at an actual HTTP 1.1 response. The first line says HTTP slash 1.1 OK. That means the server is using HTTP version 1.1 and the request was successful. The headers follow. We see the date, which is when the server generated this response. The server header shows the type and version of the server software, in this case Apache. The last modified date tells us when the resource was last changed. Accept ranges bytes. This means the server supports downloading a portion of a file if needed, and it's very useful for streaming or resuming downloads. Content length 1024 says the size of the response body in bytes. The connection keep alive header indicates that the TCP connection will stay open for future requests. Finally, content type, text or HTML. This tells the browser that what's coming in is an HTML page. After a blank line, the message body begins, which in this case would be the HTML content of the web page. HTTP status codes are essential. They tell the browser what happened with the request. A 200 OK means all is well. The request was valid and the server is sending the data. 301 moved permanently means the resource has permanently moved to another location. Usually there will be a location header with the new URL. 302 found is similar, but it's a temporary redirect. 401 unauthorized means the client must provide login details. If credentials are provided but access is still not allowed, you'll be getting 403 forbidden. And the infamous 404 not found appears when the URL does not map to anything on the server. And finally, a 500 internal server error means something went wrong on the server side, maybe a crash or misconfiguration or a bug. HTTP has evolved significantly over time. HTTP 1 was simple, one connection, one request. Every time the browser needed something, an image or a script or a style, it had to open a new TCP connection. HTTP 1.1 introduced persistent connections. That means the connection could stay open and handle multiple requests. This was a huge performance improvement, and it also supported pipelining and range requests, allowing browsers to request paths of a file. One of the big additions in 1.1 was the support for multi-homed server. A multi-home server hosts multiple domain names on the same physical machine using host header to distinguish between them. This allowed virtual hosting to flourish. Then came the HTTP 2, which brought big upgrades like multiplexing, sending multiple streams over one connection, and binary framing for faster parsing. And more recently, HTTP 3 uses quick over UDP for better performance. Now let's understand what a proxy server is. A proxy server acts as an intermediary between a client and a web server. When you make a request, it goes to the proxy instead of the destination server. The proxy then forwards the request on your behalf. These are different types. A forward proxy sits between the user and the internet. It's used in corporate environments or school to control what the users can access. A reverse proxy sits in front of a web server and handles requests on its behalf. It can load balance, cache content, or provide security filtering. A transparent proxy does the same but without requiring user configuration. Proxies can cache frequently accessed data, reducing bandwidth and speeding up the response times. They can also provide anonymity by hiding the client's IP address and log traffic for monitoring. They're also used in content filtering, like blocking social media on a school network or in content delivery networks to deliver content closer to the user. So with that, we've come to the end of this video. And in the next lesson, we'll get to know more about HTTP servers and we'll learn about NAT or Network Address Translator. So thank you for joining in and I'll see you next time.